Hey, Grind Time, how you doing? Thank you for coming in. Just trying to get everything set up before we get started. Did they change the way you go live now? Because I haven't been live in a couple days. And the last time I was, it was really weird. What am I looking for here? Thank you for the taps. I appreciate you. Let me share this. Thank you for the daily heart me. Of course. Let's see. Thank you for the daily heart me. Just trying to get it shared out. Thank you for coming in.
I walked through shadows nobody could see, carried the weight that was breaking me. In the silence my tears would hide, but a spark kept burning deep inside. Every story I thought was small could lift the broken, could break the wall. One whisper can change the night, turn a wounded heart.
Thank you, Nano.
One voice can heal a soul. One truth.
Hey, Safi, how are you?
Make us whole. Every word is a bridge we build for the one still standing still.
Gotta have so many different screens up. Thank you.
To share the power of one voice. I saw the lonely, I heard their cries, knew that my journey could open eyes. This mic became my open hand, a place to say I understand. It's not just
Thank you. Nano, did you see that? Hey, Rick, thank you for coming in. Something's changed on live. My camera wasn't set up the same way. Did TikTok update or something from the last time I was live? So weird. Certain things I couldn't do. All right, guys, let's see. I'll be right back. We are waiting for our guests. And I came on a little early to get some, make sure everybody was coming in. Is it this one? No. This one? No. This one? Dang it. I can't never find the right one.
so here I stand, no longer afraid. Every scar stand up.
We are not co-hosting today. Thank you. That's not what I wanted, but that'll work. I'm trying to figure this stinking thing out. Like my whole life thing is like set up really different. That'll work. All right. Thank you for coming in. I do appreciate you. Thank you. That sucks. Dang. Let's try something different here because this isn't going to work. That was not working for me. I don't know about you guys, but that sounded like poo. So with that being said, we'll go here. There we go. Thank you, Rick. Walking out with the sun on my face. And I'll be back. We got about 30 minutes. Just trying to get the momentum going in here and, you know, getting all the things done. Making sure I have everything taken care of. Dang it, got a text message. Making sure I have everything taken care of. Dang it, got a text message. Got a text message. Lit a fire. Thank you, thank you. I took the pain and turned it into plans. Not just for me, but for every man who's been told he's just a number, not a name. Now we rise, unashamed. This is for the ones who dream behind the wire. For every soul still reaching higher. You are more than your past mistakes. There's power in each step you take. Education is a key, not a chain. It's the start of hope, not just an end to pain. Let's tear the walls down, stone by stone, and build a life we can call our own. Cap and gown, I earned that stride. With books and time, I turned the tide. And now I speak where silence used to be. For every heart still trying to break free, I fight for doors that once were locked, for voices lost for time they clocked. Not just reform, we need rebirth, dignity, and every soul's worth. This is for the ones who dream behind the wire, for every soul still reaching higher. You are more than your past mistakes. There's power in each step you take. Education is a key, not a chain. As you all know, this would be that intro song that I tried to create for personalizing everybody's show. Build a life we can call our own. Every second chance starts small, but small can change it all. From the inside. Hello, Isha. How are you? Thank you for coming. I do appreciate you coming in. Thank you for all the beautiful taps. This is for the ones who dream behind the wire. For every soul still reaching higher. You are more than your past mistakes. There's power in each step you take. Education is a key, not a chain. It's the start of hope, not just an end to pain. Let's tear the walls down, stone by stone. Just trying to get some organization going on real quick. We can call our... Okay. She was only a child when the silence began.
never cry, never let them see the pain. In a house not her own, she learned to survive. Bruised by the shadows, but kept dreams alive. Torn pages of stories she never could write. Still she whispered her prayers into the night.
Before we get started, before we begin, I want to welcome you not just to the podcast, but to a gathering place, a space built from truth, from survival, and from the courage it takes to speak out loud that once lived in silence. Here you won't hear perfect stories. You will hear real ones. Stories where pain is not hidden, but honored. Where healing is not linear, but alive. Where every voice carries weight because every life matters. Sometimes voices you'll hear are still in the storm. Others have found their sunlight, but all chose to share their truth. And in doing so, they remind us that silence doesn't heal. Connection does. So wherever you are right now, resting, driving, crying, or simply listening, I invite you to take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and remember, you are not walking alone. Thank you so much for the daily heartening.
A fire, a healer, a light in the flame. This is for the silenced, the ones left behind. You are not broken, you are redesigned. You are not your trauma, you are truth in armor. She found her voice in the quiet storm, from ashes and scars.
Thank you.
She's not what they did.
Hey, Boom, how you doing? Thank you for coming in.
A fighter, a healer, a light in the flame. A fighter, a healer. She found
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. What I do, just in case anybody's wondering, is each song that I'm playing has either been for a podcast or a future podcast. Each song is designed for each individual story.
By the pain she's endured, but by the healing
Oh my.
she's fought.
Yeah, we are not
From growing up
to
in
any of that
foster
stuff.
care and surviving repeated sexual abuse, to escaping a domestic violence relationship. Her story is one of survival, faith in reclaiming identity. Through therapy, self-discovery, and the support of the church, she's learned that she is not her trauma, and that her voice is powerful enough to help others heal. Her journey is raw, unfiltered,
6.4. 6.4K, honey.
This conversation is for anyone who has ever felt alone, broken or silenced.
Thank you, Boom.
We sit down with a woman whose strength cannot be measured by the pain she's endured, but by the healing she's fought for. From growing up in foster care and survival.
Hey, King, welcome in. Grind time, thank you for all the tabs. Hi, Shad. Hello. Thank you for coming in.
A domestic violence relationship. Her story is one of survival, faith and reclaiming identity.
Now that Shad's in here, I will go back to his particular intro song. Shad, what I do is I take your intro from your podcast, place it in AI. I'm not a songwriter, but I do take the intro from your story and create a song via AI.
Walking out with the sun on my face, dust on my boots, but I found my grace. Left those bars, but not my fight. Now I build bridges out of light. They said the road was closed for good, but I saw more than where I stood. The lessons written in the dark lit a fire, lit a spark. I took the pain and turned it into plans, not just for me, but for every man who's been told he's just a number, not a name. Now we rise, unashamed. This is for the ones who dream behind the wire, for every soul still reaching higher. You are more than your past mistakes. There's power in each step you take. Education is a key, not a chain. It's the start of hope, not just an end to pain. Let's tear the walls down, stone by stone, and build a life we can call.
Hello, everybody. We can start early. He's in here, so normally I'm trying to jump in the shower and trying to get ready. Thank you for the daily. Everybody share it out as much as you possibly can. We want to get as many people in here as possible. I think what this man does is amazing.
For every heart still trying to break free, I fight for doors that once were locked. For voices lost for time they clocked. Not just reform, we need rebirth. Dignity.
Thank you, Dan, for the popular votes. We are at 8.5K in 14 minutes. Thank you, everybody.
You are more than your past mistakes. There's power in each step you take. Education is a key, not a chain. It's the start of hope, not just an end to pain. Let's tear the walls down, stone by stone, and build a life we can call our own. Every second chance starts small, but small can change it all. From the inside out, the heart rewrites a different story.
I've had like 6 people try to battle me. Not happening today. And when I want to battle, thank you, Grind. I appreciate that.
For every soul still reaching higher. You are more than your past mistakes. There's power in each step you take. Education is a key, not a chain.
Shad, I'm going to go ahead and bring you up. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Pretty good. All right, so I'm going to go through the whole spiel, what I normally do. I'll go through the questions. You'll answer them as deep or as light as you'd like to. If at any time you want to take a break or need to take a break, just let me know. We go on teacup, and then we'll go from there. I'll black out the screen so I know where I can edit. And then when I bring down the curtain, then I'll go ahead and start the title and intro. We'll start the questions.
All right.
All right. Hello, everybody. On today's episode of The Power of One Voice, we sit with Shad Hagan, a man whose story embodies resilience, redemption, and relentless advocacy. From serving time behind bars to earning his degree and fighting for others to access education. Shad has become a leading voice for criminal justice reform in Oklahoma. Through his work with Bridges Built by Us and his advocacy at the state level, he's tearing down barriers and building opportunities for those who want and deserve a second chance. His journey reminds us that education is not a privilege. It's a path to healing, dignity, and freedom. Welcome, Shad. How are you? Sorry about that. My screen was too dark.
It happens.
So let's start with your early life and your prison experience. Can you share a little bit about your early life and what shaped you before prison?
So my early life was pretty traumatic. There was a lot of trauma. I grew up with, my earliest memories being 6 years old with a blue suitcase, leaving the house that my real parents lived in. They were getting a divorce. After that, everything went downhill. My mom got really involved in substances, drugs, and she just kind of lost herself. I don't know how she did it, but she kept a full-time job while being a high-level substance dealer, and also lost in her own addiction. I had several of her male friends take advantage of me. I know there's things we can't say on here.
I'm 18 and over, and honestly, I've never been flagged for anything.
Okay, well, sexual abuse.
The one thing I did get flagged for was green screen.
Really?
But never a topic.
Well, a lot of people don't think about it. We talk about, SA, and a lot of people talk about, strangers and all the people we don't know. And I was SA'd and abused a lot as a child. And that was not from strangers. That was from people that my mother brought into our home. These were people close to the family, people that she was dating with and, and things like this. And so that is how I grew up in that environment, thinking that was normal. Because kids, we don't know what's normal and what's not normal when you're young.
Right.
I just thought that's what people do. Because when you're young, you're really impressionable and you don't know what's wrong or what's right, or, you're learning.
Yeah.
You're like a sponge soaking up information. My mom made me leave the house after I tried to unalive myself. And, that was part of, coming out like as gay, and there's just a lot of conflict with that, in my mind. And I was dealing with a lot. I was 16 and she gave me a car and said, here's a car, but you got to leave. And so I lived in a rest area in my early childhood. And I actually had to fillet men and I picked their pockets so I could go buy food and gas. And, that's a dark thing to talk about, but I mean, that's just the truth. That's what I did to survive. And, it was me and another friend of mine was doing the same thing. His parents had kicked him out. And those are some of the consequences, like when your family abandons you and you're young, you don't know what to do.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we do have to go through a lot. A lot of us do. Um, Sometimes we don't know how to deal with that.
And
What, go ahead.
okay. Well, and eventually I got involved with rugs myself, trying to you know bury that pain. And there was a well, I'll let you go on with your next question because I'll probably talk about that later. Go ahead.
Actually, we're going into incarceration next, so you can continue with
Oh,
your.
okay. So,
So,
well, let me include this then,
so
just so everyone knows a little bit about before the incarceration. So that was some of the traumatic childhood. Um, but later, what really got me into the rugs and the substances, later on, when I got a little bit older, my mom had hepatitis C and cirrhosis of the liver.
due to the
Obviously,
drugs.
yeah, from her, substance use. And she was in the hospital. She asked to come live with me because she didn't want her mother, uh, controlling her. It's just kind of weird for an older woman, but yeah. Um, and as bad as things were, I let her come live with me, and I had to go through. And this is when I got a little bit more stable in my life, and she had people coming to deliver her substances in my house. I mean, I literally had to put locks on both sides of the door. I mean, it was wild. And, she was still doing the rugs. So, I mean, and she knew she had like a year to live and she's still doing it. And, they're trying to steal my stuff and all kinds of stuff. And when she went back and forth to the hospital, going in and out of comas because of her liver. And I had to take her off life support.
Mm.
After that moment, that was like a turning point. And that's why I wanted to be sure to include it because that was a turning point. That was a huge trauma having to sign the papers to do that. And it took me a couple of days to do it
Yeah.
because it's like I was telling the doctor, I was like, man, something like this, you just got to be sure. You don't want to end somebody's life if you're not sure. And even though I signed the papers, I wasn't sure. The family was arguing a lot. Um, but that was a trauma that I dealt with for years after that event. So I just want to include that.
So that would have been about the time that you started using drugs and
So it
getting yourself in
started
a lot of trouble.
heavy.
Heavy
Yeah, it
drugs.
started heavy.
Okay. What do you remember, if you don't mind? What type of heavy was it? Like heroin, cocaine?
No. It was meth mainly, meth, alcohol. I never smoked weed, but lots and lots of meth.
Okay.
Um, before I was incarcerated, I was on the roof of a house with a gun, completely convinced people were coming for me.
Wow.
And I was going all around the city, hallucinating, believing all kinds of things were going on everywhere I went. I mean, I believed there was people everywhere watching me, and I was walking around armed with a weapon.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, I mean, we often talk about drug abuse, but when you think about like the effects of it, I mean, that's totally not me. I'm totally not the type of person to walk around with a weapon,
Right.
um, at all. I don't even like guns. Um, I mean, I would like to have one in my house, maybe in a gun safe or something for my home, but I'm definitely not the person to think I need to walk around with one or something like that at Walmart to
Right.
protect myself grocery shopping. That's not me. But at that period of my life, I was walking around with a weapon, convinced people were watching me in empty buildings. And I mean, it was a miserable, miserable existence. And I remember actually, uh, just for context, I called the police from a payphone. This is back when we had payphones. I know we
Yeah.
don't have payphones now.
Yeah.
But I called them from a payphone and I was like, hey, I know y'all are watching me, blah, 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 blah. I was like, y'all can just come get me then. And they come get me and they took me to detox. and I still hallucinated for even after I was not taking the substances for a long while, even into my incarceration.
Wow. Okay. So, what do you remember most vividly about the first day that you walked into prison?
Um, so the first day when I got from the county jail to the prison, the first day I was shocked. I went. I was in this I was in low security the first time, but there was a guy. I had one, two. Well, I had like 9 people on my case, and out of the 9 people on my case, it's actually against policy to like lock people up in the same prison. And so some of the people that had told on me were in the same prison with me, and we came in together.
Wow.
And we actually got in a fight uh, inside. We didn't get switched facilities, but yeah, I mean, I was just shocked that they put us all there together. And then um, it was kind of nice with the other person because I had somebody I knew there,
Okay.
and they had already been incarcerated before. So the other person, not the one that told me, the other person kind of helped me on that initial journey inside the facility.
Was that easy for you? I mean, was it a real, like a hard transition?
Um, it was actually, when I got to the prison, it was a relief from the county jail. The county jail was horrible. I don't know if you've seen on the news about Oklahoma County Jail, um, but it's horrible. It's one of the worst jails in the country.
Wow.
I mean, there's people that die there every other week, basically.
Now, when I think of the Oklahoma prison, am I thinking of the one that's outdoors and they wear all pink?
No, 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 no,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
no. No, I was in a drug offender work camp,
Okay.
and then from there, it was my first offense. They asked me if I wanted to get out sooner, and I had failed at probation, so I told them no. I want to serve all my time. Just leave me in here. Um,
So you kind of knew that you needed that time.
right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I knew there was no if I got out that day, I would have been, you know,
Right back at
right.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that one person I want to mention, because they may come up later in the story, there was a lady named Janet Dowling, and she was my case manager, nice lady in that prison. And she was like the facilitator of the like moral reconation therapy and thinking for a change, those type of programs you take in prison.
Yeah.
And that she was my facilitator, and she comes up later in my story.
How did the time behind bars affect you emotionally or mentally?
Mentally, so that after I was in Oklahoma prison, I went straight from there to the feds. I didn't know that that was going to happen, but the federal government indicted me on the same charges
Yeah.
as the state, and so the state wasn't, well, it was a long stay, but when I went to the feds, it was more like real prison. I mean, not that any prison's not real, but it was a little rougher. And one of the things I used to, these things stick with you. I think they call it picks now. But like when I was in prison, it used to frustrate me, like hearing the keys jingling all the time, from the guards,
Right.
the keys in their belt. And one of the things that lasted after prison was an aversion to loud sounds. Like I can't stand it when the like dishes are clanging together, or I hear keys jingling. I mean, it's almost I don't even know how to describe it. But
Like a little
afterwards,
PSTD.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just it drives you up the wall. I don't know how to a better way to explain it. It almost makes you angry because you're like, why is that sound there?
Okay.
Um,
Um,
Emotionally, it does affect you, even if you don't realize it. Like when you're in there, I've often described it, and this is like I want to tell people this: going to prison is like you get on a plane and you fly to a third world country where all of the rules are completely different. The law is different, and then you land in this place, and there's gates all around it. Like those are the borders. It's like you've landed in another country with different rules, different cultural norms. Everything is different.
yeah. I always heard that federal was easier time than county. Like it
Oh,
was
in
like you had a
federal.
lot more freedoms in federal than you did in state or county.
Well, I'll say that the federal prison I was in, and this is not true for all of them, but
Okay.
the federal prison that I was in, it was very strict in like, if you were going from your unit to the education building to work, they would open the gates. There was 5 minutes you had to get there, and then they locked them back down. So anywhere you went, you had 5 minutes to get there, then they locked the yard back down.
Okay.
So the movements were very strict and controlled, but they did have like a tennis court. They did have a weight pile.
Yeah.
They did have a running track. They did have like a music program. They did have a drug program. In fact, they had a whole unit that was a drug program.
Okay.
Um, they had a real law library, like a state. The state has a little bitty one that doesn't really have much. But like the feds had a really good law library where I was at. And it was, I look at the feds as they have more stuff to reduce the violence, at least where I was at. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure. TikTok's favorite inmate, for sure.
Um, let's see, where was it? Okay, when was that turning point during incarceration when you said, I've changed? Like, I'm done.
Um, so actually, I would say that happened after my incarceration.
Okay.
I still wasn't changed when I got out.
Okay.
I would say I was in a transition phase of conflict, of not knowing, what I'm going to do. I was released, and I don't know if you know this or not. I got in contact with my attorney. I worked in the law library and education building, and I had found a case, and I sent it to my attorney, and I was like, I think I'm innocent of the charge. Not really innocent, but innocent of what they convicted me of.
Right.
Um, and turned out I was correct. And so he got me released. And the reason I said I wasn't changed then, I got released with $74 and a bus ticket back to Oklahoma. I called my family. I didn't have anywhere to go. Um, so, in my mind, I'm like, well, what do I do? Do I try to contact people and go back to what I was doing? Or do I try to tough this out? Um, it's basically being in a tough spot.
Right.
So, later down the road, I did find some jobs. When I got out, I'd been working out because I knew I was going to get out. And, usually you might hear this story with a female, but, I'm a gay man. So I was using my body to find places to stay. And I know people may think that's horrible. And, but that's just the truth. That's what I did. That's what I
Right.
did to try to find places to land. And eventually I had some people I met and they gave me a real place to stay and helped me find a real job and, wasn't expecting nothing. Because I think that's some of the problem. Like when you're in a bad situation, you have people that try to take advantage of you
Right.
because they know that you're not in a power position, to take care of yourself or to even defend yourself. And, but they were just good people. And they were like, hey, we're going to give you this place to live. We're going to give it to you way cheaper than what rent would ever be. and we're going to help you find a job. And they did. And later, not very long after that, my former defense attorney got a hold of me and he asked me if I wanted a job. And so I actually went back to work for him for a few years as a paralegal in a federal law firm. And then that shifted my journey from like, oh, wow, maybe I can make it doing the right thing. Maybe this is possible. And that changed my mindset. Because before I was just thinking about all the things I didn't have.
Okay.
And then when the change happened, it's like, wow, there are good people in the world. There are people that want to help me and they don't want, to use me.
Can we go back just a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
Rick, could you check Discord, please? Okay. So the perspective of education didn't change until after you were released.
Right. Some people went through prison education. Well, when I was incarcerated, it was a little different. They had like correspondence education. Prison education wasn't really too much of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got out, those people I was telling you that helped me, one of them said, well, Shad, why don't you go to college? And I was like, well, can people with records even go to college? I mean, I was ignorant. I didn't know.
Right.
Can they? Can't they? I don't know. And he was telling me about someone he knew that did it. So I went and tried to enroll, and they let me enroll at the 2-year college. And it was years later, though, when I finished my education, and it really made a difference after that. I went from the law office to working in hospitality management. I did that for years, restaurants, hotels, etc.
Okay.
When I came back to Oklahoma, the last hospitality job I left was here in Stillwater, Oklahoma, where I live. And I was like, well, why don't I finish my degree? Because it is hard getting a job with a criminal record.
Right.
I was like, well, why don't I finish my degree? And so I did. I finished that degree. And then once I did, I was very proud of that. That took a lot of hard work, dedication. There were classes I had to take to catch up, like remedial classes, to learn even how to write. I mean, very, very basic stuff I had to relearn. So it took me a little bit longer. And when I went to go to get in a 4-year college at Oklahoma State University, where I live, there was a criminal history question. And when I had that criminal history question, it took a long time. I lost my honor scholarship that I could have got. I was going back and forth with them. They were requesting all kinds of wild stuff, like police reports from 10 years ago, all kinds of wild stuff.
Yeah.
And some of the records didn't even exist. I tried to get them. And I would call the courts, and they'd be like, we don't even have these things they're asking for. It's been too long ago. We don't keep that stuff.
Right.
And so I told OSU to forget it. And then I went to Langston, and I just walked in. And I'm like, hey, I got a criminal record. I want to get a bachelor's degree. I don't care what it's in. Like, I just want in. I'm doing this one way or another. And the guy thought he was like, you're hilarious. And he sent me over to a lady that ran the corrections program. Me and her sat down in there, had a long conversation. I think it was 2 to 4 hours long. I can't remember how long we were in there. And she said she wanted me in her program. She called over and she's like, hey, admit him. And so that is how I got into a 4-year university. And I was the president, I was in the student government. I was the president of the National Association of Blacks in Criminal Justice. I know that sounds weird because I'm white.
No.
But, and that was during the pandemic. And then after that, I went to work for the Department of Corrections in Oklahoma, which...
Hold on. Can we
okay.
go way back?
Okay, yeah.
You're about 20 questions ahead of me.
Okay.
Oh, so what were some of the hardest barriers to overcome like when you first got out? Besides being homeless, what were some other barriers that were hard for you?
So some of the hardest things are, it was keeping up with the fines. I found out at one point I had a warrant I didn't even know, because I didn't even know I had these fines and fees to pay.
Okay.
Um, and the other obviously was employment.
Mm,
Employment was very, very difficult. Getting my driver's license again because it had expired. I mean, that was difficult in itself because I didn't have my birth certificate. I didn't have my records. And, um, a lot of people don't think about these small things when you get released. I mean, not even be able to get a driver's license. I mean,
yeah.
not having your birth certificate. You don't have a way to go get your birth certificate. You don't have the money for your birth certificate, but you need the ID to get the job, or you need your social security card to get the job. And the system has gotten better with that now,
Mhm.
but being released with no way to get the things you need to get a job, and then you also have to overcome, them asking you about your criminal record,
Right. And then having
and
to
then
explain it.
yeah, having to explain it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's really, people don't think about it. They're just like, well, just be sure you disclose it. But going through that, it's really embarrassing and you don't like it. And it's really something else when you got to apply because you got to be sure. Like on my computer, I have a whole list of all the charges I've ever had, and like to make sure that I can do a complete application. So they don't say, well, you left this out or you left that out. And then you got to wait for the criminal record check to come back. And then they'll decide, well, is your criminal record okay for you to have this job or is it not okay? So it's really a process getting a job with a criminal record.
Yeah. How did you hold on to hope?
Um, well, I think it was the small good things that happened, like getting a job in the law office. That gave me a lot of hope. That probably gave me the most hope out of anything. Like when I first got released, was actually getting that job in the law office, working with an attorney, working on cases, going through discovery of federal investigations, doing legal research, giving it to the attorney. That was really exciting. And that did give me hope because he totally did not have to do that for me.
Right. Do you know what your story kind of reminds me of? Do you remember what's that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio? Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, yeah, that's very
Yeah.
much what I was doing.
Yeah, that's
That's
kind of
very much what
reminds
I
me.
was.
Yeah, your story kind of reminds me of that. So, what did you learn about humanity while you were locked up?
Um, well, I'm going to tell you, there's obviously some bad people in prison, obviously, but I would say that the perception, and I'll say this as being a former staff member and a former inmate, there are a lot of good people in prison that have just had traumatic, unfortunate things happen to them that led them to where they're at. Not that they don't have accountability, but a lot of stuff happened, and it's hard to judge people and say, like, this is a bad person because they did this
Yeah.
when you look at the whole picture of their circumstances. And I think that's what we miss, like when people are talking about lock them up forever, do that. It's like, well, where was the system, when they were getting, sexually abused as a child? Where was the system then? Where was the system when they were getting beat? Where was the system when they were living with no food, trying to figure out how to eat? Where was the system then? But now the system's around to lock them up. Yeah.
Right. Um. So we did the. You already told us the challenges you had applying for college. How did you see the felony box on applications? Like, how did that make you feel? Was it like an anxiety?
Oh man, oh, it's totally it's totally an anxiety. Oh my gosh, I hate that box. Obviously, you know what I do. So, man, and whether it's on a job application or whether it's on a college application, you got to, I mean, when I would go apply for jobs, I would want to gather applications before I would apply. And this is after I've been out a while because I was like, I was trying to analyze what they were asking. You know, are
Yeah.
they asking about 7 years, 10 years, any criminal conviction ever? Uh, is it, are they just asking about felonies? Are they just asking in this time period? And, you really get into analyzing this application that you're filling out and you're like, okay, because the thing is, if you fill out an application, you don't have a criminal record, you don't have to worry about that question. You
Right.
just fill it out like normal and you don't worry. If you do have a criminal record, you're investing substantial time, you know, making a separate sheet, listing out all your convictions. And so you're analyzing, is this job worth it?
Right.
I'm investing time here. Is it worth trying to apply at this job?
Right.
And so, with Box, you got this anxiety. You're also going to search the employer. You're going to look at them and be like, try to find out information about their hiring practices. I mean, it's a whole different process if you have a record because you're going to research the client, deciding whether to invest your time in this long application process.
Right.
Because, like, if I go look for a job, well, now I'm blacklisted. But before, if I was to go look for a job, um, it would take me a lot longer to fill out an application than somebody else.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, because of listing down all the convictions and making sure you have everything right.
So you got to do all the convictions and all the education.
Well, and then like you're hoping, and you're hoping that the person on the other side of getting your OSBI report even knows how to read an OSBI report.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because sometimes on an OSBI report, something can look like you've got several convictions because the arrest is on there, the convictions on there, the sentences. So do they look at that and know that that's one thing, or do they think it's three things?
Right.
So you also have to hope the person on the other side has been trained on how to read these reports because a lot of them are not.
Yeah. So what role did Langston University play in your journey?
Langston was a big deal because that is how I got my first bachelor's degree. I met a lot of people through going to Langston that helped me along my journey. Um, and being involved with the National Association of Blacks in Criminal Justice really helped my journey as well.
Okay.
Uh, Being networked into that group, and I was the president of the organization at the college, so it connected me to a lot of people. And I always attended their conference each year. In fact, I attended their conference this year. But when I attended their conference, I think it was was it 2021 or 2022? I think maybe 2022. I attended the conference, and my former prosecutor was the keynote speaker. She's also a member of the organization. And so I met up with her, talked to her, met her sister. I'm friends with her son now. And this is the lady that prosecuted me twice.
Wow.
Um, but we're friends now. We're Facebook friends. We talk. So it's completely different. And she's actually an amazing woman. After I heard that speech that she gave, it was like she was the prosecutor, but it was like, wow, she totally understands, the impact and things missing. Like, I was thinking, we need more prosecutors like her. um, Even though because she's just doing what the big people tell her to do. But
Right.
um, yeah, her speech was about hope and resilience and We have a lot of people out there that are incarcerated that just never been loved. They've never been loved by their parents. They've never been loved by other people. They've never been given value or worth by anybody.
Mm. When you graduated, what did that moment symbolize for you?
Oh man, that was um I want to yeah. So I graduated top 13 in the whole college, and I
Nice.
went to prison with an 8th grade education.
Wow.
Top 13 in the corrections program. Me and the other girl, I don't know if I was one or two. I wouldn't tell her my scores, and she wouldn't tell me hers. So I don't know if I was number one or number two, but we were so competitive. But that was like a major accomplishment because it was like, there's a lot of people out there with lived experience that go back in and, work in roles. But I had went in and actually got an education all about corrections and graduated at the top. People in that class, some of them now work at the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, my classmates. Some of them work at the FBI. Some of them went on to be lawyers. And now I'm connected to all those people. I tutored some of those people and helped them with their tests. Um, and that's law enforcement. I helped law enforcement people with their studies.
Hmm.
And so it built connections that are just so valuable, so valuable. Um, and it was amazing. It was like a transformational moment. It's like, I not only have this experience, look, I came over here and I got this experience because I want to know what y'all are talking about.
Right.
I hear y'all talking about all this stuff. I want the academic perspective.
Do you think that being incarcerated helped the education side of that? Like, because you knew both sides and you knew what you went through?
Yes, I definitely like some of the stuff that they talked about, some of the educational part. Some of it, it did not relate to me at all. And, but I learned that part. Some of it, like the corrections classes, I mean, a lot of that, I already knew it. A lot of the probation and parole stuff, I already knew. But, going into the learning about why people commit crimes, and the, gangs, and just learning about all this stuff, recidivism and, the history of law enforcement and policing and um, correctional counseling and the gender differences between women in prison and, learning about all these topics, even some of them political, criminal profiling. It gave me a completely different uh, toolbox. I have more knowledge about things I didn't know,
Okay.
and it's very valuable in combination with my lived experience, for
Okay.
sure.
Why is removing the felony question from applications so important to you?
Um, so one, it's because I obviously went through it,
Right.
um, and it was ridiculous. That even if you were going to have restrictions, the restrictions they had were completely ridiculous. They were not realistic at all for people to be able to get these records, and so that's a system that's set up like, okay, well, we'll let you in maybe if you get all these records, knowing that you can't obtain the records. So it's like, well, we let people in, but you know, there's no way you're going to get these records, so you're not going to get in. It's like a catch-22 type thing. But education lowers, and a lot of people don't realize this, but the higher and more education you get, the less likely you are to recidivate.
Right.
So, like a person with a bachelor's degree, maybe it reduces recidivism by 60%. An associate's degree, I can't remember the actual percentage on that, but the higher you go in education, a master's degree, a doctorate, it lowers the recidivism rate. So these people that go to college and get education for some reason, they're not offending. Maybe we don't know why, but it doesn't matter why.
Right.
Let people go get education. Let people go to trade school if they want to. Let people get more knowledge. And as they get more knowledge, our recidivism goes down and we don't have people going back to prison. We have people enhancing their knowledge. We have people turning into entrepreneurs and taxpayers and predictive citizens, and they're out there helping other people or trying to help other people. And it's just better for society all around because we don't want, like, we're the top incarcerator in the world. The United States is the top incarcerator of the world.
Wow. What do you say to people who argues felonies should be disqualified? Disqualify people from education.
Well, I would say they should go look at the statistics for the recidivism, but I also think a lot of people don't understand. And I made a video on Instagram. So the real problem it seems like people have is they're worried about felons on campus or sex offenders on campus.
Okay.
So for perspective,
Makes sense.
for perspective, I can go get in my car right now and I can go drive down to Oklahoma State University and drive anywhere around student housing and walk around. There's no gates, there's no barriers, there's no guards. The university, when it's open in the daytime, I can go down there. I usually meet with the legislator down there in the student union, and we have lunch. So there's a perception that people can't access the campus,
Right.
and they can. It's as accessible as Walmart is. Anybody can go there, just like anybody can go on campus. The only thing the question does is actually prevent people from getting education and prevent people from getting a degree. So if you're concerned, or if anyone's concerned, is that someone could get on campus and commit a crime, they don't need to enroll to do that.
Right.
They can go there now. No one's stopping them.
Yeah.
They do not need to take out a student loan for that. No more than they can take out a loan to go to Walmart and shoplift.
Okay.
But there is a perception, like if you got this question, it's keeping the campus safe.
Right. So what doors kind of opened up for you when you got your degree?
Well, and I want to say that it was a surprise to me that these doors opened.
Okay.
I was able, when I first got my degree, I was looking like, well, what am I going to do now? Like, because I didn't know. What am I going to do now?
Right.
And I had found out that my degree, the one I got from Langston, particularly was required for a behavioral health case manager here in the state of Oklahoma to get certified. And that's where you facilitate drug treatment classes and do lectures and stuff like that, group therapy. And so I went and applied, and I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen, But I went through, I was very detailed with my record, very careful, very, meticulous about this application and meticulous about getting certified. I did get certified and I did get the job. So I worked in substance treatment. It opened a door for me. The other incarcerated people or formerly incarcerated people were peer-reviewed tech specialists making $12 an hour. But because I had a degree, I was making $22 an hour and, part of the treatment team.
Right.
So I think a lot of times, formerly incarcerated people get used to this, we can be a certified peer specialist or whatever, and they don't reach any higher. And sometimes I think that the system has done that on purpose to keep, formerly incarcerated people in a certain place in their lane, not disrupting too much.
Right.
And it's like, hey, you don't have to be down there. You can if you want, but if you want to go get an education, you can be right up here where I'm at. And if you want to get more education, you could probably be up where this other guy's at.
Right.
You just got to believe you can do it.
So, your doctrine, why is that so important to you?
The what?
Your doctrine, you're wanting to go for your doctrine. Why is that so important?
Oh, well, actually, so I've stopped doing my doctoral studies. Well, I haven't stopped doing my studies. I stopped the program. I was going to get my doctorate. Um, but, financially, I'm just in a position right now. Uh, I got to work on the advocacy, and I did download all my research though when I left school because I am still working on it.
Okay.
Um, so I haven't stopped my research. Lots of people do research with master's degrees. So I haven't stopped that research, and that research continues. Not as hard and heavy as when I was in school, but I'm doing a literature review right now on narrative policy making, and it's kind of about how legislation gets influenced at the state level. And right now it's a literature review, and then later on the research will be figuring out why that is.
Okay.
And I have my ideas because I have a lot of research.
Advocacy and reform. What inspired you to start Bridges Built by Us?
So here's what inspired me to do that. And I will probably never get any funding, but I'm going to try. Um, so there's a lot of nonprofits, at least here in Oklahoma, and actually across the nation, as I've talked to other people. Um, and some of us that have been out a while, we see it. People that have not been out a while do not see it. But nonprofits, I wanted to create a nonprofit that is real, that's doing real work, guided by real people that have lived experience, like our table. Because the nonprofits out there right now, a lot of them will push these things, and really they're just trying to get money.
Yeah.
Because nonprofits, people make money in nonprofits. People don't realize that. Nonprofit does not mean the executive director is not getting 400 grand in a company BMW. Um,
Right.
and a lot of people think, oh, it's a big nonprofit, they're doing good work. You can be doing good work and doing bad things at the same time. And a lot of them, and this is really common in criminal justice nonprofits or reentry. They'll take someone, like I have someone I'm thinking in my mind, but I don't want to say their name because I've been asked. But I've seen them. They had a really bad addiction and they looked really, really bad. And they took that picture, and then the picture now, it's on billboards here in Oklahoma. And so some of us that have been around a while, we call that trauma porn. They'll have these big galas, they'll invite that person, they'll come speak, they won't even give them any money. But if they, were to ask me to come because I have a couple letters after my name, they might give me $5,000 to speak.
Wow.
And then the formerly incarcerated person doesn't get anything, and they're out here trying to get food, pay rent, and everything else, and they want them to come relive their trauma.
Yeah.
I kind of just wanted to start something where we're not engaging in those practices, and we're really trying to do something that's going to help people. Recidivism is a big thing. So, well, let's let people go to school and not make it hard for them.
Okay.
And we have another program here in Oklahoma. They do let people, they'll get formerly incarcerated people, but they give them their own box, and then they make them go through this whole process to get in. But it's a program to help. And I'm like, why don't we just not have that program and just take the box off? And, then we don't need the program. We don't need to send $3 million for that. We can just let people enroll. Simple
Good
concept.
point. Simple. Yeah. How do you help people transition from prison to higher education? Like, do you do
Um,
that personally, or is it?
I will do it personally. When I worked in the prison, I would directly talk to inmates, obviously, about when they got out, about the opportunities, about different programs when they got released. Even some of the nonprofits that I'm not very fond of, they do some good work. So I'd be like, hey, you can go to this program to get this, you can go to this program to get that. When you get out, if you need help with your college application, holler at me and we can go through it. I can tell you, I've got a list and I know which colleges will let you in, which colleges won't, which colleges will give you trouble. Um,
Right.
and that was part of the research I got. And then I also, with the ban the box stuff, I've got tons of research on it because obviously that's my area. I even have people, students and professors, reach out to me to see what research I have because they know I've been so deeply involved in it. So,
Okay. What does true reform look like to you?
well, at the base, it looks like just treating everyone like they're human. Um, you know, I think that's something people miss, especially when we think about prisons, inmates, former inmates. When people find out like someone's been to prison or they've been incarcerated, it puts them in a different category. Like,
There's a
oh,
stigma. There's a
yeah, like,
stigma on it.
and really, people are human. I used to tell inmates this, because they'd call each other convicts and you know all kinds of negative identifiers. Um, I'd say, well, don't call yourself a convict or a thug or a robber. You're a dad, you're a son, you're an artist, you're a electrician, you're a lot of things more than just convict.
Right.
And because if you identify yourself that way, other people are going to identify you that way. If you're
Absolutely.
around calling yourself a convict and a thug, then that's what other people are going to say. They're going to be like, oh yeah, he said he's a big convict and he's a thug. So if you say those things, then that's how people are going to identify you.
Right.
And that's called labeling. I learned that in college. That was some of the stuff we talked about in college was the labeling and how that impacts people. That's why a lot of people talk about first person language. And my friends even have to get onto me sometimes because they're like, Shad, you're using this language. And I'm like, I know it's because I worked in the prison because all the forms say offender and, you know, so
Right.
I use the wrong language myself sometimes, and I don't do it intentionally. It's because I've been exposed to it so much.
Okay. What do you think is the most broken part of Oklahoma's system?
Uh,
The
the,
prison
the
system.
the it's politics.
Okay.
Um, Here it is politics. I'm one of the few people. I went out to the fair the other weekend. I don't remember if I posted pictures about it, but I was there with a Democrat and a Republican, and we sat there for 2 hours talking about just the state and legislation and policy and the problems and everything. We weren't fight. None of us got in a fight or hollered or hoopla or anything. We had conversations, and that is the problem. We're not having people. There are some Democrats and there are some Republicans that will come together and talk and like get each other's perspective. And it's great when they do that because then we can find out what is your concern.
Yeah.
Because if I don't know what your concern is, I can't address it.
Right.
It's just like with ban the box. In that conversation, the Republicans like, yeah, Chad, I see, I get it. You're right. I'll support it. And the Democrats like, yeah, I'll bring it up. I'll introduce the bill. So I went to the fair, talked for 2 hours. We had a great conversation, and we got two people that have completely different political spectrums to agree on common sense. But you have to talk to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So our political system's broken where nobody will talk to each other. It's just, man, it wears me out.
So, how did you feel when you heard about the corruption within the pardon and parole board?
And that made me that made me really really mad. I'm still waiting on the governor to sign my pardon after being recommended. Um, but yeah, like when you've been out, I've been out 14 years, like, and you know, worked my butt off, like in high level jobs, getting my education and everything else. And then a lot of people don't know this from that article, but that guy was a counselor to that lady
Oh wow.
and was trying to like have, you know, relations with her for a pardon. And I mean, like, so for me, I worked hard, worked my butt off, trying to get all these jobs and working in these jobs, and then spent a good 6 years getting my master's degree. And so when, a lot of people try to dismiss me, I'm like, no, I am an expert. I am an expert. I went and got the credentials and I worked for it. So and I'm not saying that that lady should not have a pardon at all, because I don't know her story,
Okay.
but not like that, because there's people out there doing hard work. So if you're doing it like that, I mean, that's just a signal to everybody else. Oh, you want a pardon? That's what you got to do.
Right.
And it's just like, when I worked in corrections, there was a lady, and she got investigated for having relations with other staff members, and everybody like dogged her and all this stuff. And I was like, well, with the culture around here, why would have she thought she needed to do anything different for a promotion?
Okay.
I mean, y'all set it up where she would believe that. I mean,
Yeah.
y'all don't promote people that deserve it. You promote your friends and your buddies and people that do you favors.
How do you keep yourself grounded outside advocacy and work?
That's hard for me. It's hard for me to keep myself.
Okay.
It is hard for me to keep myself grounded. I am ADHD, so I will go get lost off in a topic. And yeah, that's that's a weakness of mine. It's hard for me to like stay grounded and get out of the house and do things I need. So I'm definitely not perfect with that. Um, the one thing I do is in the mornings, I'll try to, when I wake up, I try to just lay down and clear my mind, close my eyes and clear my mind, and just turn my brain off for like at least 5 minutes.
Okay.
And sometimes it helps, and sometimes it doesn't.
If you could go back to talk to your younger self, what would you say?
I'd say, man, for God's sakes, run, get away from your parents. No. Um, uh, so I guess I could say I would warn them, but I really wouldn't. The experiences I've gone through have made my life unique. It's given me a valuable perspective, and for all I've went through, and still go through, I still go through things. Um, when this legislation gets passed, it's going to help so many people. Like, and I don't care if I get credit for it. I don't care if they ever even mention my name about it. Um, I've worked on this for years. I just want it to happen.
Right.
And then, like, once it happens, I don't know what I'm going to do after that. Because I've just done this for so long. Being box, I've got, on my computer. I sent one of my friends. They're like, "What do you do all day?" I sent him a picture of this spreadsheet of like all my research and the stuff I've written on it, and he was like, "Oh my god, like that's crazy." And I was like, "Yeah, that's what I do. Like, when I'm not on TikTok, I'm
Right.
diving into research and legislation, and now that I'm not in school, I can't get research. So that's why I'm trying to raise money so I can get a research database again. though I can have money to travel to the Capitol and travel to events. And,
Right.
I'm going to Kansas with David Garlock to speak in universities here next month, or at the end of this month, I think. I think it's the 28th, October 2nd. But we're going to Kansas to speak in two universities. So I'm doing all kinds of stuff besides the ban the box, and I'm still talking to inmates inside the prison about what's going on with them, and sometimes even talk to them about their feelings. Kind
Yeah.
of try to counsel them from the outside, and help them keep going.
Do you believe that Oklahoma can shift from the highest education state to a leader in second chances?
Oh man, I think we can, but it's going to take a lot of conversations. Um, and unfortunately, I'm not going to say anything bad about any political candidate, but I will say that everything is politically charged right now,
Okay.
and it's making it difficult to make progress because people are trying to make certain people happy, and and I always tell people, don't even worry about the national politics right now. We have
Right.
got so much going on right here. We've got plenty to do. We've got plenty of work to do in our own state. And, don't worry so much about that. I hear certain people's names in the news every day.
Right.
Whether you like it or not, what's going on here? We're 50th in education in Oklahoma. Why are we worried about Washington, D.C.?
I'm I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Um, Rick is my mod. I'm so sorry about that. Hi, Frost. Welcome in. As I was saying, is Rick is my mod, and I do apologize if he's offended anybody. I'm sure he did not mean to. Um, okay, let's get back. We're almost finished.
Okay, you're all right.
What's
You're all
one?
right, Joe.
Thank you. What's one story of a life? What's one story of your life that has changed your work that stays with you?
Um, so I think that stays with me. I think that the most impactful thing for me, the most impactful part of my story was probably actually the day I left the Department of Corrections. That's going to be that was a big deal. Um, so I was in for forgery, and when I worked for DOC, they were doing a PREA audit, and I don't know, Prison Grape Elimination Act, and a lot of documents were missing. Everything was messed up. They were like, "What's your start date? What's your start date? What's your start date?" And that's a whole nother story, but I'll just make it short. So they were asking, they had inmates going in other inmates' files. And, all your identifiers are in there, your family's info's in there, your family's ID, address, all this stuff. And then they were asking the staff to backdate these documents, put signatures on them. They were trying to figure out when, who started. Um, it was, absolutely insane. And that's the day I quit. Um, because I was like, I can't do this because I know, number one, it's wrong. Number two, you're putting these people's families at risk and you're putting the inmates at risk. And then you're asking me to commit a crime And if something happens, you're going to put it on me.
Right.
And it was a moment, and why I'll always remember it is because I was like, okay, I got to do the right thing here. And the inmates were like, Mr. Hagan, please don't leave, because I'm doing a lot for people in the side the prison,
Yes.
and so they're trying to convince me not to leave, and I was like, look, you'll know you changed when you do the right thing, and all of the consequences for you are negative. I said, because y'all can believe that after I do this, the inmate that, was working in here goes and turns DOC in. There's not going to be a good consequence for me at all.
Right.
So I said, when you do that, or you will do that, that's when you know you've changed your life.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you this question, but I just want you to answer it. Okay.
Okay.
What's
Oh, you muted.
do you want to leave behind?
I'm sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, my phone rang. What legacy do you want to leave behind?
Hope.
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 Okay.
In the simplest form, hope. That's why I do what I do, is to model for other people that you can do anything.
Okay.
So hope.
And then this one, how can ordinary people support criminal justice reform in daily life? And I'll be right back just to answer the question.
Okay. So people in daily life, they can support criminal justice reform. It just depends on what you're interested in. As far, like with me, I work on Ban the Box. I talk to inmates in the facilities. So people like me that are doing this type of work, this is what I do full time. I was in a different financial position before, but it costs money for Securus. It costs money to call inmates. It costs money to drive to the Capitol. It costs money to print up paperwork, to host events, to do research. I've got to have an academic database to make white papers, to visit with legislators and educate them in policy, to try to help people. So, what I did was I made a nonprofit. And so people can help people like me through that way. If you see someone that's got a real 501c3, and I'm going to say that, if like I have a real 501c3, you can go, and I'm in Benevity. So like I've got to, put those things into the government. So whatever you donate to, be sure they're a real 501c3, because there's a lot of scammers out there. But yeah, find people that are impacted. On TikTok, I still use like my TikTok earnings on my personal page to fund my advocacy. Everything goes to advocacy. Then with my nonprofit, if people need a tax deductible way, then I have that. But yeah, I always encourage people, whether it's me or somebody else, look for directly impacted people that are leading an organization that have a nonprofit, because they're not caught up in all the politics of it. They're
Right.
really trying to do something, and it's likely because it's affected them. It's likely, like Ban the Box affected me, so I'm passionate about it. I got an interim study done in 2020, House Bill 1980 introduced in 2025. I've got another bill that's coming, and not my, I didn't introduce them. I got the legislature, because you have to have a legislator to do it. But when you got somebody and you got them from both sides, that's how you work with them.
Mm-hmm. It's good to know.
So look for impacted people, not necessarily big nonprofits.
Right. Okay. What does the power of one voice mean to you personally?
Well, the power of one voice is very powerful, and it doesn't matter who you are, because everything, it's like a chain reaction. It's kind of like, what was that movie where they tore a leaf off or something, and it caused all the, or no, the butterfly effect. That's what it was, the butterfly effect. Crushing one butterfly, and the power of one voice is the same way. It spreads. One voice spreads all over the place. It's a chain reaction. So your words and your intentions are very important in what you do. And if you feel like you're not making an impact, you are. Even if you just, you know, helped one person, that's going to have a chain reaction everywhere, even if you don't see it.
Okay, thank you. So that was the last question. I'd like to thank you, Shad, for coming. Shad Hagan's story is proof that a criminal record doesn't define a person's destiny. His voice carries the weight of lived experiences and the fire of transformation as he pushes for legislation, builds bridges for others, and lives out of change he once dreamed of. He reminds us that redemption is not only possible, it's necessary to every listener today. May you remember that education heals, advocacy matters, and one voice really can change everything. I do have some resources. Bridges Built by Us is Shad's nonprofit helping formerly incarcerated people access education. Oklahoma's for Criminal Justice Reform Policy and Advocacy Group Fighting Systematic Change. Ban the Box Campaign, National Movement Removing Criminal History from Job and Education Applications. The Marshall Project, Journalism on Criminal Justice Reform, and Prison Fellowship Support and Resources for People Re-Entering Society. I'm gonna if anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and ask them. Thank you again for coming. I do appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. And yeah, I mean, that's why I do it. This helps people, even if you know, go on, someone hears your story, and then, it spreads out to other people.
That was the point of me building the power of one voice. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask any questions.
TikTok's favorite inmate was in here.
We still have 9. We have 10. Thank you, Amanda. So what are your future goals?
Right now, it's just getting the criminal history question off the box.
Okay.
I mean, if I had my way, I like had my dreams or whatever, I would love to be a legislative assistant or work in lobbying. That's a lot of what my research is about. It's about how legislation gets influenced.
Yeah.
And narratives, ideology. And largely my research has helped me connect with both sides to figure out how to do that.
Yeah. Chad, what changes do you hope to see the new future director of corrections here in Oklahoma?
Man, so I like Justin Ferris. I do, and I hope that people do not get upset with him, because I want everyone to realize that Justin has got to do whatever the governor says, or he'll be replaced. Justin's a good guy. I know when I left, he was interested in what I had to say. I know internally, like, people didn't, want to talk about that, and it was shut down. So I think that Justin's a great guy. I am happy for him. And I hope he goes from being the interim director to the permanent director. Even if the governor places restrictions on him, I think he's far better than Stephen Harp. Um, if you go by experience and education, most of the case managers in DOC would be more qualified to run it than him. So yeah, and Justin Ferris really believes in not warehousing people. He really believes in reform and rehabilitation, but just understand he is restricted by the governor. So we always have a boss above us.
Yeah, we
Um,
do.
so, you know, I would like to see, honestly, for the director of the Department of Corrections, I would like to see somebody that made more sense. You know, yeah, I mean, let's get back to the educational requirements. Let's get back to requiring a master's degree to be the director of the Department of Corrections. And then DOC can reach out to me, and I would be happy to be the director.
So, is Oklahoma just the beginning? Or are you going to eventually try to push that in all states to get the box off the applications?
So this is really cool. So I tried in 2025,
I'm sorry,
and
I don't mean to interrupt. I want you to answer the chat's questions first.
mm,
Amanda said, once released, do some people have to be in a halfway house?
sometimes it depends. It depends on what system you're coming out of and what your
The
requirements.
charge.
Yeah. So and if you've done all your time, then you don't have to do anything because
Yeah, you done
you
served your
paid. Yeah, you served your time and you paid. Um, so that makes a big, like me. I got my case overturned, so they were just like, "Here's your bus ticket. Head to Oklahoma. See you later."
She said halfway houses are big in Alberta. That's Canada. Yes, I
I'm
agree.
sure Canada's system's probably.
There he goes. What changes do you want the new director to make?
Oh, I want him to get out the corrupt employees.
Ooh,
Um,
good thing these are edited out.
but yeah. I mean, yeah, you'll edit it. But no, like, so it was wonderful working at the Department of Corrections because I got direct contact with inmates. I was able to create some creative solutions for people maybe that didn't qualify for things or help them get access to what they need, um, and things like that. And it was good, like getting into their mind and like saying, hey, look at yourself differently, try to give them hope and resolving conflict. Now, working as an employee in DOC, what I saw is um, it's a toxic work environment. So, employees, and you probably wouldn't expect a former inmate to say this, employees are not treated well. They're not treated well by the administration. Um, it's very toxic. I've heard administration come in meetings and tell people if you don't like it, hit the door, we'll replace you. And this is in a meeting of hope. So, um, but it's very toxic. There's a lot of nepotism, and those issues need to be addressed because that's why we have the people that are not qualified working in these high level positions because it's just their friends. And you got to change the work culture. You don't want a toxic work environment because that's going to resonate down to the inmates. And that talk to the if you're listening and you're in DOC and you're in the administration, talk to your employees like they're humans. Talk to your employees like they're humans. Be kind. Uh, at least listen to what they have to say because you are understaffed. All your employees have value. Many of them have been there for years trying to get a promotion. They put in the work, and nepotism is keeping people down. So, and it's also leading to a lot of these incidents we're seeing with deputy wardens having all kinds of rugs in their house and giving them to inmates and selling them to inmates and all that. that's because people got promoted that weren't really qualified. And
Yeah.
it's a toxic work environment. It really is. I've never worked in an environment like that before where there's so much toxicity.
Okay.
And I feel like if you've got certain people out of there, maybe that's been there for years, that are participating in this negativity, you could make it better if you replaced them with some qualified people. Because that's the reason people don't want to work at DOC. It's not the pay, it's not the benefits, it's not the inmates, it is the toxic work environment.
So sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Bing Bong said, "How do you deal with being judged for your past mistakes or looked at differently?"
Well, so for me, I just don't worry about it anymore. Uh, it's like, it's just like in recovery, they say don't give people free rent in your head. So, just you got to not worry about what other people think and just worry about you. It's kind of like, people that are in substance abuse recovery, if they're worried about everybody else, then they're not focusing on themselves and what they need to do.
Frost asks, "How are you moving forward?"
One day at a time.
Thank
One
you,
day at a
Paula.
time. Um, I,
TikTok's favorite inmate said, "I'm seeing wardens that are 30 years old. I just don't think at that age they've gained enough ability yet."
well, so I think with the wardens, here's what, it's frustrating for me. I applied, and this is what I'm talking about when I talk about nepotism. I applied to be a transitional coordinator when I worked for DOC. And that's someone that works with reentry and they help people get reentered into society.
Hmm.
Now, I was an inmate for 5 years. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in the topic. They told me that I was not qualified. Now, I've been reentering society for years now, but I'm not qualified. So that job went to a captain, an officer with no experience that was the warden's friend. And that is the problem in the Department of Corrections we have all these people, like he was saying that the wardens are 30 years old, and their sole qualification maybe that they're somebody's friend,
Yeah.
and they have no experience in, like with our former director here. He had no experience. He was a finance guy. He
Wow.
had no experience with corrections or anything about it. His experience was his brother was locked up. That his only experience.
That's crazy. That's
He was the
crazy.
governor's friend.
I remember when a sergeant was no less than 30, lieutenant no less than 40, and a warden no less than 50. Okay.
Yeah, and now the turnover is so fast. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. TikTok. So TikTok's favorite inmate. I um, I actually wrote an article about that, and it's on Medium. I can't remember what the title of it is, but I think it's just nepotism in DOC. But I talk about the 7 clans that ran the prison, and it's the 7 families. There's 7 families, and you got these people, and there's like 7 families that are all in these positions of leadership and power, and that's who runs the prison. That's how deep the nepotism is. You may have one person over here. When I left, people were like, well, why didn't you report it? I needed to report the guy that investigates the corruption. I needed to report his mother-in-law and his wife was my boss. So I mean, they were all related. It's just you got too many families in there, like TikTok's favorite inmate said. You can't. It's not functional.
Frost wanted to know what are your plans now? I thought we answered that one.
Well,
At a
I think
time.
it's one of probably specific plans.
She,
Right now,
she,
I'm focused on.
she.
Huh?
Frost is a she.
Oh, gee, okay. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. TikTok's favorite inmate. You can't report anything. Um, just basically working on the legislation. I'm going to work on my TikTok channel. Right now, I'm working real heavily on the profile for bridges built by us. I got it on Benevity now, and then I got to wait till TikTok gets my business registration verified, and then I'm going to try for verification for that channel. And when I get that, then I'm going to be sharing all about ban the box stuff. On that profile, I can't go live yet. It doesn't have enough people. So I'm
If
working
you
on
want to
that.
share it to me, I'll follow.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I will. I will, definitely. Um, but yeah, so turnover in administration has been so high that people who actually qualify are too scared to. So Sarah,
Everybody in
um,
the chat is saying share it out,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
follow.
I will, I will. Um, so Sarah, are you talking about Oklahoma specifically? I'm just wondering.
Now I asked the question earlier, and I wanted you to get the chats first. But so any plans once you get Oklahoma, the box off the applications in Oklahoma? Are you going to try to do the move your way across country?
Oh, that's I didn't finish answering that earlier. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm ADHD. Sorry.
It's okay.
Um, well, one of the organizations I'm working with, they actually do that already.
Okay.
So they weren't present in Oklahoma, and so I follow them. And I used to be a member, and I used to go to their deals. And I was like, "Hey, why don't y'all do Oklahoma? Why don't you do Oklahoma?" I've been asking everybody, "Do Oklahoma? I'm here alone. Help! Help! Yeah, help! Help! I have no funding. I have no support. Help me! I've been doing this alone for years." But so they are helping me actually, and so if I need on the ground support, they will come. But they have helped me with how they've done this in other states, like Louisiana, Colorado, I think, and I can't remember what all the states are, but they've done it in several other states. Louisiana was actually the first state to ban the box on the college application. Let me see Sarah's turnover. Yeah, Sarah, turnover has been high. Like where I worked, and I don't know if you're who I think you are, but you might be. Um, yeah, there was Warden Dowling, and that was just I was so upset when Mrs. Dowling left. Um, I love her. And when I told you someone's going to come back into the story later, the case manager, Mrs. Dowling. Mrs. Dowling is also the one that hired me when she was a warden at Dick
Okay.
Connor. So my old case manager ended up becoming a warden, and then she hired me, years later.
Right.
But yeah, the administration. So we had Mrs. Dowling. Mrs. Dowling left. Then we had Warden Bus, and Warden Bus left. And then we had some other guy. I can't remember who he was, and he left. And then now there's that some other. Uh, the directors went around and fired wardens all over the place, and the administration has shifted so much. It is hard to make it functional because
Yeah.
there's people you trust in there. Yeah, yeah, Sarah Jean. I think I know who you are, but yeah, you're right. I do have a lot of insight into it from being an inmate, from working in the Department of Corrections, from turning them into the Department of Justice, going to the House of Representatives, getting blacklisted in Oklahoma, because I can't work in Oklahoma. I put in over 3,000 applications with a master's degree and a 14 years separated from incarceration. I didn't graduate at the bottom of my class. I graduated at the top of my class. The only thing I did that's bad is told the truth, like they tell us to do when we're in prison, not to go back.
Right.
So the truth is not really what people want. People want you to say what they can digest.
Right.
It's appropriate. And I tell the truth. That's a bad thing. And unfortunately, we even have formerly incarcerated people that I went to when I left DOC that, were trying to cover it up. So, that's always disappointing when you meet those people, but it's good to see it because that way like, oh, okay, I know who you are.
Yeah.
So even people from like my own demographic are out there, and it's like they can keep this status as long as they say the right words and things. And for me, I'm not going to do that. I suffered too much trauma when I was young. I can't do the fake dancy game that people do. I just got to be like, this is what happened, and that's how it is. It could be good or bad, but that's what happened.
Right.
Like I said, I like Justin Ferris, but I could also tell you I sent him a message when I left telling him about everything and nothing was done. Am I mad at him for that? No, because I realized that he works for DOC and there's things he can and can't do because of the director, Secretary of Public Safety, and the governor. So, but it's just the truth that nothing was done. You see what I'm saying? It's like, I'm not saying this person's bad. I'm not doing that because I understand there's other factors at play.
Okay. I get
But
it.
I believe Justin Ferris is the new, he's interim director for our DOC. And I really do, I've had conversations with him before, and I really do believe he's reform-minded. Whether he has the power to make real change, I don't know.
Hopes, keep your fingers crossed. But with that being
yes.
said,
Hope. Help. Let's do this. I see people doing this all the time in those rooms. Come on.
All right. Thank you for coming, Chad. I do appreciate your insight on everything and sharing with us your story.
Yeah, and if anyone ever wants to know more about it or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me, the tongue-tied guy. Hit me up with a message, and if I don't see it, comment on one of my videos or something, and I'll message you back because I have so many messages in my inbox, sometimes I miss them. But if you want to reach out, comment on one of my videos. I will share out the Bridges Built by Us page after we get off here.
Okay. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and drop you down.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Before I end tonight's live, I just want to pause and breathe this moment in. I want to thank you, truly thank you for every single one of you being here tonight. For listening, for supporting, for gifting, for simply holding space. Your presence matters more than words can ever say. To my guests tonight, I want to honor you. Sharing your story is not easy. It takes courage to revisit pain, to open your heart, and to allow others to see the real and raw parts of our journey. You've given us a piece of yourself tonight, and I know without a doubt that someone watching felt less alone because of your voice. That is healing. That is powerful. That is the power of one voice. So my beautiful audience, thank you so much. Please let this be the end of our please let this not be the end of our connection. My link tree is in my bio. For anyone you'll find there to stay connected and to share your own story. And continue this journey with me. And please, if you haven't yet, take a moment to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much. There you'll find the full episodes, more voices, and deeper conversations that can touch your soul even when the live is over. So, with that being said, thank you so much for sharing this journey with me and keeping it moving along. The link tree is in my bio. There's a questionnaire. Fill the questionnaire out. I will then do all the things to get you on the show. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much.